Do you have 5 minutes? Actually, a little less than 5 minutes. There is some really good news. And the good news is millions and millions of people across our country are in the process of getting vaccinated against the COVID pandemic. That is a magnificent thing. And we are beginning to see the numbers drop in terms of the infections and, more importantly, the deaths, which is a very good and healthy thing to see. But yet, as we transition from a time of pandemic back into a normal life, there are a lot of people right now that are very, very anxious about what's going to happen with folks. And a lot of folks have been through a very stressful time in this last year and are going to take some of that stress with them and maybe even have some post-traumatic stress syndrome with it. And so what are some of the pros saying, and what are they talking about with this? But I would like to start for just a moment with the Bible. Here are these two short passages from Scripture. Psalm 107. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Here are this one from Matthew 6. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Just this past week, I participated in a retreat with folks from Presbyterian Disaster Assistance. These are the folks that deal with hurricanes and floods and earthquakes and things of that nature. And oddly enough, they had a retreat for pastors about resilience and how we can avoid symptoms of post-traumatic stress and whatnot as we move out of a pandemic back into a normal life. And what they taught us applies to everybody. It's not just for clergy or pastors or the like. It applies for each and every one of us. And oddly enough, one of the simplest ways that we can help to get back to normal and not have any stress from what's happened in the last year, one of the simplest ways is something as simple as being grateful, for being thankful for what we do have. And one concrete way that they suggested that we could do this was just go for a walk once a day. It doesn't have to be a hard walk. It doesn't have to be a fast walk. It just is about maybe 15 minutes. Take a 15-minute walk. If you can't do 15, do 10. Can't do 10, do 5. And as you are walking, intentionally look at everything that is around you that you can be grateful for. Look at the trees and the leaves on the trees and think of how magnificent they are, how we can be grateful for that. Listen to the birds that are singing, or see them flying around, or see a hawk or a kestrel falcon up in the air. Look at it and think how beautiful it is, and be grateful for what God has given you. Look at the puffy white clouds or the clear blue sky and be filled with gratitude. Maybe walk up to a tree and just look closely at its bark and feel it and be grateful. Look at a flower and think of the beauty of a very simple flower and be grateful. Perhaps you might see a neighbor walking their dog and think of how grateful we can be for pets. Perhaps you might see a husband and a wife walking and thinking of how grateful we are for our husbands, our wives, maybe for our children or our grandchildren. But the point is to go for a walk, and every time you do anything, just think of how grateful we can be for the gift God has given us. And if other things start to squeeze into our mind, acknowledge them, but then put them aside and go back to your walk. Refocus on what it is that we can be thankful for. The reality is, when we look at the Bible, we have a lot to be grateful for. But when we start to develop this inner sense of gratitude, something happens. What happens is anxiety goes down, stress goes down, and we begin to see the presence of God all around us. And for that, we can be grateful. And guess what? It actually can reduce the impact of post-traumatic stress or any of the events that will weigh on us from the past. So today, go take a hike. I don't mean that kind of hike. I mean, just go take a walk. 5, 10, I suggest 15 minutes. And look at everything around you. And as you do, just be grateful for what God has given you. All good gifts around us have been sent from heaven above. So thank the Lord, oh, thank the Lord for all his love. Have a lovely, grateful week. God bless you.